Hello and welcome back to Mission 2819. I'm your host, Greg Veneta. And in today's episode, we're going over Season 2, Episode 25, the season finale. I just want to thank you all for joining in throughout Season 2 and Season 1 and just being so supportive of this ministry. We're going to just do, in this episode, we're just going to do a brief overview of what we went over in this season and what's to come next season. Actually, there's a lot of really good things next season. I'm going to give you kind of a mission and vision and goal of the ministry because this is becoming bigger than a podcast. And we'll go from there. So this is a thank you of gratitude from me, Greg, to you as a listener and supporter of Mission 2819. Well, welcome back to episode 25 of season 2 on Mission 2819. Excuse me there. I just want to thank all of you, everybody listening and sharing this podcast with everybody because it's pretty amazing what has happened. And sorry for my voice. I started getting congested today, so I don't know what is going on, but there's some congestion, so hopefully that doesn't affect anything and doesn't stop you from listening in here on Mission 2819. But I guess I really wanted to thank all of you for sharing this podcast with so many people, not just locally or nationally, but also globally. It's amazing when I look at the metrics of where this podcast is being shared. It is absolutely amazing. The United States, Canada, United Kingdom, Zambia, Tanzania, Switzerland, Russia, Seychelles, Barbados, Jamaica. It's absolutely unreal. And, so many different places in each country as well. In the U.S., it's quite amazing. I mean, we're up to, I want to say almost 40 states, which is quite amazing. In multiple cities per state. I didn't think that this podcast would ever be that big. And, in each country too, it's quite amazing to see, all the different regions, especially, Seychelles, the English River. How cool is that? I mean, unreal. So anybody listening from Seychelles, thank you. I really appreciate you. And share this podcast. That's awesome. Switzerland, again, amazing. Moscow, Russia. I'm just listing off just a few places because we don't have time to go through every single individual place that's listening in. But I just want all of you to know that I appreciate that you are listening, and I hope that you find this really encouraging and that it is encouraging you to get into the Word and to draw near to the Lord. And continue sharing this, reaching people for the Lord, reaching people with the gospel, the good news, and just keep sharing it. So I appreciate every single one of you that is sharing this podcast. Let's give a brief overview. I can hardly talk because I'm so congested. I don't know if it's allergies or what the deal is here. But, a brief overview of season 2. We talked about a lot of information. And I get that these are only 30-minute podcasts here. And for a reason, right? I don't want them to be an hour, 2 hours, and then it loses people's attention. I want it to grab your attention, and I want you to be able to learn something from it, and then be able to either apply the truth that's being spoken or be able to go out and share it with someone else. So that's the goal of this whole podcast, is be able to take the biblical principle being taught, go out, apply it, make a disciple, right? So let's talk a little bit about what have we gone through in season 2, because like I said, there was a lot of information that we covered. We covered everything from finding contentment to how do we deal with toxic family members. What does a toxic family member do to, somebody that believes? Signs of the times. How do we view what's going on today, and make it relevant to the truth of Scripture? Because our times can change just like history, but the Bible never changes, right? And so how do we take what's going on and how do we look through a biblical worldview lens and see what is really going on? And then we've covered competition versus collaboration between churches, eisegesis versus exegesis, the importance of Christian education in the church, which that's a big one. That one, and eisegesis versus exegesis. If you haven't listened to those, go back and listen to them. But those are two really important podcasts, because for spiritual growth, we need to understand the importance of Christian education in the church, how it builds and develops disciples for today, and then competition versus collaboration. We also went over some Christianese phrases that are often used today, especially in Western culture. This is a big one in Western culture, and we got to be careful how we say things. We talked over fear of doubt, fear of God. What is the real fear of God? We talked over cultural versus contextual ministry. What does it mean to have a life of obedience? And then the previous 2 episodes, busyness in the church, which I know is a big one, especially in Western culture, and biblical illiteracy. What does that do when a congregation is biblically illiterate versus biblically literate? There's some big challenges there. So we covered, like I said, we covered a lot of information. And I will always tell you to go back, take every episode, check it with Scripture. I'm just a human being, and I do get things wrong. Where do I get things wrong? Sometimes I don't know. But I want you to be a Berean. I want you to be checking me with Scripture, because I am a human being. I try my hardest not to put my own opinion or emotions in what I am teaching, because I want to bring you the truth, right? The truth of light in the gospel. And I want to be able to give you the truest form of the gospel that I can. So I always want you to be checking me with Scripture. And I hope that you're doing that. I want to be as vulnerable and transparent as I can be. So, what's in the future for Mission 2819? It started out just as a podcast, and throughout season 1, I was using this as a platform to really practice for preaching and teaching in the church. But this is beginning to become a lot bigger than just that. This is becoming a ministry in itself. So, with that being said, any type of support is greatly appreciated, and I'm not looking for financial support. I am number one looking for prayer. Really need that. And I know, just this past year, I have a partner now in this ministry, Jeff. Number one, we'd be looking for prayer more than anything, just for God's guidance and direction, because without that, it's nothing, right? God will provide the finances to make all this stuff work, but we need to be close to the Lord, and we need to be focused on Him, and our hearts always need to be in surrender and submission to Him. So your prayers mean more than anything. Just that we would continue walking in obedience and being loyal to Him. So what is a goal and vision, not just for this podcast, but for Mission 2819 as a ministry? There's a couple books that are available right now called Developing a Disciple, Book 1 and Book 2. They're both available online. You can get them multiple places. Just go to whatever internet search engine you have and just put in Developing a Disciple, and you'll see by Greg Veneta. They're out there, and we want to get that out to as many people as possible. There's a lot of good things, and it takes into consideration the emotional, the physical, and the spiritual side of a human being. And how do we engage with all that? How do we make a disciple? We want this podcast to continue being shared with other people locally, nationally, globally, as it already has been. So I thank you for that. We want to make ourselves available as well. So in the comments, you can get in touch with us in the comment section of this podcast. We want to make ourselves available for speaking engagements as well, whether it be in person or digital, whatever it be. We just want to be available to help support your ministries as well, whether it be personal or in a church, whatever it may be. And a lot of people will ask, well, what's the price of this? Well, just get in touch with us and we'll figure that out later. We're not worried about that. We're worried about making disciples. We're not worried about getting paid, really. Yes, absolutely. Should you get paid for what you do? Yes, but that is a secondary issue. We're not worried about it. Let's just go out and make disciples. That's what this whole ministry is about. So that's kind of a mission and vision. And, one of the big visions is to be able to earn enough income to where we can start training and building up missionaries to send out nationally, locally, and globally to help support other churches, other ministries, and to be able to help teach, preach, whatever it may be, build ministries, whatever it may be. We want to be able to raise enough money to be able to send missionaries out. And I would say that's really a big part of the heart of this whole ministry. So going into season 3, again, this is going to be a kind of a short episode here because I'm just kind of giving you an overview and what to expect next season. So next season, we're really going to hone in on a couple of things. Jeff is going to be joining me in on, we're going to cover a couple topics of the spirit of sabotage and what it can do to you as a believer and as an individual. And, Jeff has an amazing testimony of this, and I know it will bless everybody that listens. Jeff and his wife have been great. They're ministry partners in Mission 2819. They really just have a heart for the Lord, and I really can't thank them enough for how they have supported this ministry and what they are doing currently. We're going to look at some false teachings. We're going to expose some things like Hebrew roots, tourism, the prosperity gospel. We're going to go through some of that stuff. So that way, if you listen to the podcast and we go over this stuff, it's not to point a finger of blame at your pastor or anybody preaching, but it's to help you guard your heart and your mind from a false teaching, because we are still called to love one another, right? I just want to make that clear. We are called to love one another, not point a finger and just call the person out, and just, humiliate them. That ain't right. That absolutely is not right. But we do want to teach, and we do want to teach how to protect and guard your heart and your mind from false teachings. There's so many, the big one here, I'll say this. The big one right now is Hebrew roots. That is starting to take off like a fire with a flame a fire with a flame behind it, a fire with a wind behind it. So the flame is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And there is some things that, yes, you can learn from it, but you need to be careful because it mixes law and grace. And we'll save that for season 3. Let's just put it that way, because there's a lot to it, and it'll be multiple episodes because, there's just so much. And then, getting some personal testimonies, and hopefully we can have some missionaries too on this, that we can get their testimonies and, in what they can share. But I look forward to doing these episodes. And then, I am hoping by season 3, this might be season 4, but being able to have video podcasts available up on YouTube, and then just the audio of those available, through the other platforms that just allow audio. So there's a lot going on. And I think that this is a good vision and mission. Short term, I'm not giving you everything yet because there's a lot in the works, but, just to give you a brief overview of really where Mission 2819 is going and what we're looking to accomplish. So again, if you want us to come out and speak, just reach out in the comment section or send us an email. The books, they're available anywhere online right now. Just look up Developing a Disciple by Greg Veneta, and you'll find them. Check those out. And, let's stay in touch and keep praying for us. And Mission 2819, we want to bring the truth of the gospel to all people. Like I said, whether it be locally, nationally, or globally, and just be able to serve one another, love one another, and be the hands and feet of Jesus the best that we can. So I thank you all again for listening in on season 2 of Mission 2819. I appreciate you so much. I have a heart of gratitude. And please keep sharing this podcast with other people. May it be an encouragement, may it be a blessing. And just Go show the love of Jesus to somebody today. All right? It's that simple. All right? Love one another. Pray for one another. And may the Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Thank you for listening in on Mission 2819.